Welcome to Seminar in Leadership. Hopefully by now you've taken time to read my brief bio on the eCollege About Me page, discussion board that we set up, and hopefully you'll take time to tell me a little bit about yourself as well. As I mentioned in the bio, I attended undergrad at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I worked for 6 or 7 years at International Paper in Memphis, Tennessee. I got my PhD from the University of Mississippi, or Ole Miss. And then I went on to take a job here at Texas A&M University Commerce in 2012. My dissertation at Ole Miss was on leadership, and so this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart and one that I love to discuss. So please take time to tell me a little bit about yourself and the About Me page on eCollege. And in these slides, what I plan to do is give you an overview of the course by first going over the importance of leadership. We'll give ourselves a definition that we'll use for leadership in this course, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we will study. So if you do a quick Google search, you'll find plenty of motivational quotes about leadership. There's no reason to read them all to you here, but I just chose a simple few from Rosalind Carter, who was the former First Lady of Georgia, and from Nelson Mandela, former President of South Africa, and also from an author and pastor by the name of John Maxwell. But there's nothing inherently special about these quotes. It's just to show you and to demonstrate that there's plenty of talk about leadership in the media today. Also, if you do a Google search on different images of leadership, you'll come up with thousands, if not more, different images, and they all portray leadership in different ways. This one here shows a leader among the people, but he or she is bigger than the people. This one displays the leader as being held up and propped up by the subordinates. This one gives you all types of words to describe leaders. This one has the leader actually propping up his or her people. So you get a sense that we have a lot of different ways of viewing and defining leadership. And so in short, leadership, if we want to talk about leadership, we have to understand that few topics have been written about, formally researched, and informally discussed more than leadership. And yet there still remains a lot of confusion. But despite that confusion, we often attribute success or failure in all types of things throughout our lives to leadership, whether it's in war or business or a protest movement or a football game or at a particular college or university. We normally go and turn to our leaders to attribute that success or failure. One quote that I do like to use is by Zinfan, and Zinfan said that "for without leaders, nothing good or noble, to put it concisely, was ever wrought anywhere." In other words, leaders are important parts of everything we do throughout our lives. So when we talk about a definition or conceptualizing leadership, as I said earlier, and what you'll see as we go through this class, is that you will see many different perspectives on leadership. So it's very tough to define. But what we're going to do is use the book's definition, or the handbook's definition, the one by Northouse, and we're going to define leadership as a process whereby an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. This is just the overview slides, but as you will see as we go further in the lesson and as you go further in your readings, that definition has a lot of different components to it, and we'll try to break some of those components down to give you a better understanding of why we're going with this particular definition. So why is leadership important? Why do we care about leaders? Well, many of you are a part of some organization, whether it's where you work or an organization that you volunteer with. but most of you are going to be part of some type of organization. And most organizations have some type of mission. So to accomplish whatever that mission is, you must have people who are willing and able to become effective leaders and managers. Therefore, once you begin your career, you will either lead others or be led by others, or both. In other words, when you get involved within whatever organization you're working for, or even if you have your own organization, you'll either be leading others or be led by others, or both. And so this topic of leadership will definitely be important within the working world today. So throughout this semester, we'll explore different ways of exploring that particular definition of leadership that we set for ourselves. We'll look at leadership as being a trait, a skill, and a style. We'll look at different contingencies or situations in which particular leadership styles may be more or less important. We'll talk about the relationship between the leader and the follower, and then we'll also go into different styles of leadership. We'll also discuss culture and diversity and ethics as it relates to leadership as well. In order to accomplish this, there'll be plenty of book readings, or we'll use that handbook. And one note, I don't expect you to read the handbook in complete detail, word for word. As it says, it's a handbook. And so what we really want to do is just use it as our guide as we go through some of these topics. So I'd say give it a detailed skimming. In other words, you don't have to read it word for word, but make sure you are familiar with the key topics and the key parts of each leadership theory that we discuss. I'll also try to reinforce some of these principles through videos. And so just like this one, I'll send you a brief video of some of the topics that we'll be discussing. I'll also give you quizzes over these readings. These are really meant just to reinforce the readings, and they're not very difficult. As a matter of fact, in some other classes, students have chosen just to knock out all of those quizzes fairly early. The questions come straight from the book. It's not meant to be anything hard, and as you see on the syllabus, I don't assign a lot of weight to those. That is because I expect you to be spending a lot of your time within the academic literature and applying these particular leadership styles to the real world or the business world or case scenarios. That's what we're trying to do. So we want to use what we learn in class as far as the different styles of leadership and apply them to real world situations so we can get a better understanding of how these leadership styles actually work. I will give you journal articles to read to reinforce these particular styles as well. And this is really where the majority of your time should be spent, focusing on reading the journal articles, reading the cases, and the book, and combining it with the book information to write a paper that tries to address some of the cases and outcomes within the particular case that you will be reading.